want you to think about what motivates you. Is it a person? Is it success? Is it fear? Okay, once you have it, hold on to it. Save it for later, put it in your back pocket. Because in this video, we're going to use that information and the help of a little psychology to learn why it is always better to self-motivate. Let's go. Motivation. So many successful people talk about how they find it every day, where they go to for it, how they keep it going. There are thousands of books written about it. Global icons give speeches about it. There's a lot of TED Talks about it too. But still, if you're a person, you already know it's hard to stay motivated daily, no matter what you do. It's okay to admit it. It takes a lot to be you. This year has been super interesting in the sense that for some people, it was the motivation killer. All of our lives and routines were sort of disrupted very quickly. So it's not difficult to understand why maybe anyone would let themselves go a little bit. However, there is another group that saw this disruption as a window of opportunity. Although I believe not everyone had the best possible means to make it happen, I saw a bunch of people get in good shape for the first time ever, and it was uplifting to say the least. Obviously, there are environmental factors that come into play here, so I'm not going to compare one person's situation with another's. But I am going to ask a question. What is your motivation attached to? And how strong is that attachment? We'll come back to that, I promise. Just let your answer sink in a little bit. Now it's time to channel my inner Sigmund Freud, because we're going to be looking at two different types of motivation according to psychology. So first we have what's called extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is when we are motivated because we want to earn a reward or avoid punishment. You will engage in behavior not because you enjoy it or because you find it satisfying, but because you expect to get something in return or avoid something unpleasant. This often looks like a prize system. You know that one person that is so driven to win, it's really all they care about, like an obsession? They are more interested in the benefits and the perks of the task than anything else. Now, this can be extremely effective for some, but it can also be extremely toxic for others. This makes me think of someone like Michael Jordan, who perhaps needed extrinsic motivators to help create his legacy. The guy would simply do whatever it took to win championships. If you haven't seen The Last Dance on Netflix, you gotta watch it, it's great. But for most people, the circumstances are different, and they require a separate type of motivator designed for sustainability. Moving on to our second type of motivation, intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is when you engage in a behavior because you find it rewarding. You are performing an activity for its own sake, rather than from the desire for some external reward. The behavior itself is its own reward. The difference here is that the source is internal. The source is you. Now you might be asking, what does this actually look like? Intrinsic motivation looks like purpose, growth, passion, and self-expression. Let's bring it back to our question now. What is your motivation attached to? Whoa, now it feels a little different, right? You can clearly see why it's important to access motivation from within. Now here's the cool part. Can you find motivation anywhere? Yeah, I suppose you could. But do you know what's better than finding it? Creating it. Those people that always seem motivated, what you don't see is all of the times they weren't motivated enough to do their thing, but they simply did it for themselves anyway. And they do it for themselves by creating an avenue of self-motivation. There's an amazing quote from Elon Musk. When something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are not in your favor. Now take out that word something and input the task at hand. So if you're trying to build muscle or you want to lose 40 pounds, when the odds stack up against you, access motivation from within. I think this is a valuable principle because so many common motivating factors are just not concrete. External factors are never fully reliable. Do me a favor, stop looking for motivation and go create it. If you got value out of this video, let me know by hitting that like button. Or if you absolutely hated it, maybe hit the dislike button or send it to someone you don't like. Oh, also, I'm going to be doing a live Q&A on my Instagram this week. I want to know what topics you want to see covered on the channel, so be sure to check that out. Also, be sure to check out my most recent video, which you can click right here, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Bye.